Hey guys, it's Kevin again. This is going to be another movie review for you guys because I did promise my next review would be for another movie review. And this movie I'm going to be reviewing to is a movie that I have been wanting to see for quite a while. I've heard about this movie. I kept hearing, things about it, and I definitely really wanted to see it. And it recently got leaked online to Solar Movie, so I figured I would check it out. And that movie is Dear White People. Now, this movie I had heard really nothing about. I heard about it on pretty much it. Eric Striffler talked about how he was really looking forward to it, and that made me very interested in it just from him saying it looks amazing. Um, Made me very interested. I watched the trailer, and that got me very excited for the movie, and I definitely was really looking forward to it because of that. And of course, when it leaked on that night, I really wanted to see it. So I watched it, and after watching Dear White People, what did I think of this movie? This movie was really good, but it does have a lot of problems. The movie was a little bit disappointing. I'm not gonna say it's the most disappointing movie of the year. I don't know what the most disappointing movie of the year is. I honestly don't know what it is, but this movie was not as good as I wanted it to be. It's not as memorable as I wanted it to be. I'm not gonna remember this movie. It's not. I thought this movie was gonna be one of the best movies of the year, and it really wasn't. And it definitely has a lot of problems. But let's talk about the plot of Dear White People. There's a lot going on in this movie. Um, Basically, this movie has a lot going on, and this movie is a satirical drama. At times, it just feels like a straight up drama. So the satirical part, like it's like a satirical like dramedy. But basically, the plot of this movie is we focus on this film producer at a Winchester University, Sam White. She works at this Winchester University, and literally that entire school only has a few black people. It barely has any white people, and she has this radio show called Dear White People. It's very honest, very witty, and kind of presents the white kids in kind of like a bad light and everything. And she publishes a book and everything, and she ends up causing a whole storm on the administration, and people really don't like her. Because she calls white people out, and she says, oh, so and so said this. She literally says, this person made racist comment, things like that. She's kind of like mocking them, sort of, and she really just doesn't like white people, and she ends up winning the election for head of house, the all black house on campus, and everyone gets really pissed at her for doing this. Everyone's really upset. Um, she's really upset everyone's really upset that this is happening because obviously she's causing so much trouble and everything. So what the white people decided to do, what these white guys that there's some um some of the white people, they always throw a Halloween party, and they always mock the basically the person that's getting picked on the most, the person that is being focused on the most. So they decide that this year they're going to have a full on blackface party, and basically the rest of the movie is these four characters' reactions to it, and that's basically what this movie is about. And I think that that is a very interesting plot. It's a very compelling plot. It's a very big subject to touch upon. It's a very tough subject to touch upon. But does this movie do very well? Yes, I'm going to say that. It handled the topic very, very well, and I thought they did a very good job of doing that. Now let's get to the acting in this movie. The acting in this movie is overall, for the most part, very, very good. Now, the problem with this movie, in my opinion, though, is that there are too many characters. There really are. I understand it's university, there's going to be a lot of people, but there were too many characters in this movie. Let's talk about our main star here. Tessa Thompson as Sam White stole the movie for me. I thought her arc was fantastic. Her arc, in my opinion, was by far the best part of the movie. I mean, she goes from hating white people so much, and then by the end of the movie, she's completely different. She actually is accepting of them, and I thought she did a very good job with that. And one of the things I like that this movie actually did is not only did it show racism towards black people, it also showed how black people think of white people, and I think that's very well done the way the movie did that. Especially her character was very well done because of that, and I thought her character was really, really good. I definitely want to see what else she does. I've never really seen this actress in anything else. I know she's done other things, but she's a very good actress, and she definitely was fantastic in this movie. I thought she did a very good job. Um, Tyler James Williams as Lionel did not do it for me. I was not really into his character. And the thing is, he's the character they show the most. He's the Afro kid. And now I will say this, all four characters in this movie, I thought they portrayed very, very well, except for Lionel. Every other character in this movie is a lot more interesting. His character is by far the most cliched. He is a gay writer, and he's going after this, like, white guy and everything. And I really was just not into his storyline. I thought his storyline was probably my least favorite out of all of them. I was not into it. I didn't find it that interesting. I kept wanting to get into it, especially because it's Tyler James Williams. And don't get me wrong, he did a very good job in the movie, but he took me out of the movie every time he came on. I didn't really care for it, and I thought his character was just boring. I really was not into his character at all. Um, Brandon P. Bell as Troy was a fantastic character. I thought his character was great. One of the things I loved about his character, also one of the things I love, is how all these characters are connected. He is actually Sam's um, ex boyfriend, so I thought that was really interesting. His character, basically, it's kind of like Boys in the Hood. His father wants him to get into this very, prestigious school. He's planning on getting to a very good school and everything, but he is doing drugs, and there's some very great scenes between him and his father. I thought that plot was handled very, very well, and the way they handled it was just really, really well done, and I definitely really enjoyed that. It was very realistic there. Um, Tiona Paris as Coco, I really liked her character. Her character is very much the character that is just trying to fit in. She doesn't treat the black kids like she should. She picks on them, she mocks them, she hangs out with white people, and really they get kind of upset at her for this. I mean, she really is just she mocks them. She doesn't like them, and really she's just doing that so she doesn't get mocked herself, and you feel bad for her character. It's weird, but you do feel bad for her character, and I thought she portrayed this character very, very well, and definitely thought she did a very good job, portraying that character. They were definitely very good. Now let's get to my problem with the rest of the acting. The rest of the acting was just okay. I really didn't feel connected to anyone else besides our four main characters. I didn't see the white characters in the movie. I liked them, but they really just seemed like side characters, and if that was the point, fine, but I didn't understand. I wanted to see more of them. I want to see more of their motives. I want to see why they hate these people so much. I want to see what their hatred was, and we really didn't get to see a lot of that. And I thought their characters were pretty boring and pretty wooden, actually. I really was not into their characters very much at all. And the movie made it seem like those three guys, that you see in the trailer were going to be very, very funny. And I'm just going to say right now, this movie is not very funny. It's not. There were very few times I was laughing. When I was laughing, it was when Sam was like making a joke. I thought those scenes were funny, but most of this movie I did not find to be very funny, and it didn't really work. And I understand it was a satire, but it really was not very funny in my opinion. And I think part of that is due to the directing. By Justine Simeon. Now, granted, this is a directorial debut. Not every directorial debut this year is going to be amazing. However, this is probably the first one that's not amazing. The directing in this movie is good, but I feel like the director does not know what he wants to do with this movie. There are many times where this movie feels very funny, and then it'll go to dramatic, then it goes to funny, then it goes to dramatic, and it really didn't work for me. I mean, for me, a satire, you can't take it too seriously, but the things that happen in this movie, you have to take seriously. There are a lot of things that happen in this movie that they want you to take very seriously, and it's almost like they didn't really know what to do with the movie. And I'm gonna talk about the problems when I get to the spoilers, but I just thought that it did not work. The directing really did not work in my opinion. They did portray the message, but it really just did not work, and I didn't think it worked either. The screenplay was good, but the screenplay also had some problems there. There were a lot of parts where it wasn't funny. This movie is sometimes boring. The first half of this movie, I really was not into it. I was like, wow, I really want to be into this movie, but I'm not. The second half of this movie, I was definitely a lot more into. When it didn't focus on Sam, I really was not into this movie. I mean, when you get to like Lionel or the other kids or like them talking about how this is like a bad thing or them trying to ban it, I thought that was interesting, but I just was not really into it. And I thought the screenplay was just boring and wooden, and it wasn't as good as I wanted it to be. Um, the editing in this movie is very much all over the place. I think the editing is a huge problem. The editing just they flip around throughout characters. They don't. I just felt it was very all over the place. Definitely, there were tons of stuff that just they go to this scene, then this plot, and it just did not work. Having four plots in the movie could have worked, but there was too much else going on in the movie for those four plots to work. It really did not work, and it didn't all intertwine, perfectly like it should have. It didn't really work in my opinion. Now let's get to the spoilers for this movie. If you guys have not seen Dear White People, I recommend you watch it. I think it's definitely a rental, okay? It's definitely a rental. It's not something that I'd say you must watch right now. It is definitely a rental. But if you guys have not seen it, I'm going to talk some spoilers and pretty much my problems with the movie. First of all, The big scene in this movie, of course, is going to be when they go to the party. You expect it to be very big, and for a while, I really liked the way they were portraying the scene, because one of the things that this movie shows is that we make fun of black people, but we don't really realize the impact it has on them. And the way they showed Lionel's reactions were very well done there. What I thought was stupid is when he gets into a fight with that guy, because they don't talk about it for the rest of the movie. It's basically like that just happened because they wanted to add drama into the movie. And it came across as very anticlimactic. I already didn't care about his character very much. I didn't really care what was going on in that scene. It was very boring. And I'm just like, seriously, they're just adding unnecessary drama. I wasn't a fan of that. And I thought they were going to do something more of that, and then they didn't. And it seemed like the movie really, in the second half, went to a straight up drama, and it did not work. I mean, before the movie had this like comedic tone to it, and then it suddenly got dramatic. And when it suddenly got dramatic, I really was not as into it. I mean, the second half was better than the first half, but still, when it got to that party scene, I really just, it brought the whole movie down to a new low for me. It really did not work at all. The ending of this movie, I was not very satisfied with. The ending of this movie, I honestly just feel should have been Sam talking to that, guy who is white, and them getting together and holding hands, showing that Sam is now fully transformed. The last scene in this movie I thought was ridiculous, and honestly really felt just too long. It felt too tacked on. It felt too perfect. Really, it did. They felt like it felt like they were trying to like wrap up everything perfectly, and it really did not work. I understand that we're trying to wrap up all these characters, but it really did not work in my opinion. I didn't feel the movie did what it should have, and I didn't feel satisfied when the movie ended. I was like, wow, I really feel like I wasted like a bunch of minutes on this movie, because I really wanted it to be good, but it really was not as good as I wanted it to be. Now, it's still a good movie, but it's not as good as I really wanted it to be portrayed. Now, I will say there is some things that this movie does do well. Away from the spoilers, there are some things that does well. It's a very tough subject, but it is very thought provoking, and honestly does make you think that, it makes you think, oh yeah, this really does happen. It makes you remember that. And I like that the movie showed that, because we tend to think that there really isn't any racism anymore, but there is, and this movie shows that. And I like that the movie showed that. It was very well done, definitely. And even though I wasn't really into the movie, that message definitely had an impact on me. And I think even if you're not into this movie, the message will impact you. But that's basically for my review, Dear White People. I think that's really all I want to say. Overall, guys, I really was not as into this movie as I wanted to be, and it was kind of disappointing for me, because I really wanted this movie to be one of the best movies of the year, and it really wasn't. I would recommend it. I think that if you want to see a really good movie with a really good, impactful message, this is a good movie to watch. If you want to see a movie with some really good character development, this is a good movie to watch. But don't expect this movie to be as amazing as you think it's going to be. Because I really thought that this movie was going to be legitimately, have some very good messages, have some very good dramatic scenes in there. The acting in this movie, like, there were no, like, really big scenes either. I was expecting some big scenes, and we didn't really get anything from there, and that kind of disappointed me as well. But that's it for my review. Hope you guys enjoy it. I'll see you guys in my next review, which will be my review for another movie review. So I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.